hit it, which helps to align the clay particles.
Roxanne Losey, a retired art teacher from Belleville Henderson Central Schools, loves throwing things. It happens in clay form, of course, and she's been throwing clay on a pottery wheel for nearly 5 decades. Her interest started at home when she was a child.
Pottery is a form of art where you use clay to make functional or non-functional works of art. And I became interested in pottery through a lot of different sources. One being my mom. She took an adult ed class in ceramics, and she brought the clay home and we got to play with it, and I just loved it. And then when I went to college, I took ceramics at SUNY Potsdam, and I just really fell in love with learning a new skill, how to throw, how to manipulate the clay, and it just was a wonderful, happy place for me to work.
The art form became so intriguing she made the decision to study it in college. And with such deep cultural significance, it made creating these works even more intriguing.
And pottery throughout the years has really changed how we live our lives, because pottery back then was mainly function. People used it to store their food, to carry water, to eat out of, and then throughout the years, all the different cultures around the world developed their own personal style, and it just kept building and building until it's like what we see today. Every artist brings something new to their work, and it just expands that way.
For anyone looking to get into the craft, Roxanne shares some tools that are quite useful. And the most important one is right at your fingertips.
I would say the most important tool that you need to create pottery are your hands. Those are the most important things. You need your hands. You can hand build anything you want out of clay. You don't need a wheel. There's tools that artists use now. It's called a needle tool. It's got a very sharp point on it. There's something called a fettling knife. It cuts through clay, but it doesn't cut your hands. And then we use a little round sponge and a wooden rib, calipers, which measures the diameter of a piece, water, buckets, paint brushes for afterwards. And so those are the basic tools that you need to create pottery. I get my inspiration from a lot of places, but nature being the biggest, because I grew up on a farm and I was exposed to animals, plants, gardens, flowers. My parents would always take us to the Adirondacks, so the Adirondacks is a big inspiration for me too. And when you grow up in a rural area, there's not a lot of places that a big farm family can go that doesn't cost a lot of money. So our parents always took us to the mountains, and it was a special treat. So those experiences end up in my work.
Like most artists, Roxanne likes to take risks, moving out of her comfort zone to create very unique pieces.
I had an art instructor who wanted me to get out of my comfort zone, and that's a good thing. You don't always want to make the same thing over and over and over. So he had me create these huge, big jars that were like 3 feet tall, and I struggled. I just didn't like hand building, hated it. I love it now, and I was using a different clay body, an earthenware clay body, which is a low fire clay body, and I just really didn't like what I was making. And after I had the 3 forms made, I hated them so much I smashed them all before they got fired. And then I walked on the shards, and after that it got me to use earthenware clay and got me into creating my own voice and what I wanted to paint on my pottery. I hope that my audience will take away, when they look at my work or buy my work, that they will enjoy it, that it brings them some kind of joy or a memory from their own childhood, that if they come in and they see a piece and it reminds them of their mother, or it reminds them of a place that they went, you know, especially when I do Adirondack themed pieces on my work, you know, so I want those feelings to be brought out and shared with my audience.
After years of creating, her work is recognized in art galleries and within the community. That's a win for any artist, and Roxanne is here for it.
Pottery has helped me be a more confident woman and an artist, because it is hard, I think, for a lot of women to have a business and to make a name for themselves in the community. I know I've always been passionate. I've been a hard worker. I spend hours and hours in my studio, and I know it's paid off because I have people who come to the studio collecting my work, and I have a gallery that always said, Roxanne, we need to come get some pieces. And so I know my work is going to a lot of places. I know some of my ex-students that I taught that live in Utah have bought my work through Tawny. And I just so amazed that these students that I taught are collecting my work. So I think it brings a lot to the community and to me as an artist.
In St. Lawrence County for WPBS Weekly, I'm Jolene DeRosier.